Right, we've got the skid cap finished, as you can see. I've cleaned it up with a cloth just to get all the you know, any remaining Play-Doh that was on it off, and I've given it a rub over with some very fine wet and dry just to clean it up that little bit extra. Right, we need to think about fitting it to the skid bar now. Now unfortunately the skid bar that I've got is a slightly bigger diameter than the cap that I've just made, but as I'll show you later on, that's not a problem. We can easily get around that. Right, to fit the skid cap to the tube, and I use three things. First of all, some thin super glue. I use the grip type super glue, and anybody who uses this will be familiar with it and knows that there's three different types of grip super glue. You can get the thin, the medium and the thick. Well, it's all for this type of job, it's better to use the thin, as you'll see later on. Second thing we need is some activator to make the super glue go off a bit quicker. The third thing that we need is a piece of kitchen paper, kitchen towel or toilet tissue, it doesn't make any difference, either will do. So right, we'll first begin by tearing a piece of the kitchen paper off. It doesn't have to be exact or nothing like that, just a piece about that big. Scrumble it into a ball and just keep the ball a little bit bigger than the diameter of the tube. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll push the ball of kitchen paper into the tube, and we'll want it down round about 5 to 10 millimeters inside the tube. That's all we need. Okay, right, take the super glue, and what we want to do is we want to put in about half a dozen drops of the thin super glue. Right, there's 6 in there. Okay, we'll just give that a few seconds just to soak in there. I don't know if you can see it on the paper. Now take the activator, just give it a shake and give it a quick squirt inside the tube, just to make the glue go off a little bit quicker. Now the reason why we're doing this is, as you've probably guessed by now, this edge here, the outside edge, the very extreme edge there, wouldn't be anywhere near enough to hold the cap in place. I've glued these skid caps onto that edge only in the past, and it's took nothing to knock them off. They're not a very good fit, strong fit. So we need to do this just to give them a, you know, something to get a hold of when you put the glue in, or put the glue on. Right, what we need to do is we need another piece of kitchen paper, but a little bit smaller this time, something round about that size. That's all we need, and make that up into a ball. Okay, then again the ball fits inside the tube, but this time when you put the ball in, you want it to try and get it just more or less level with the top. That looks about perfect there, that's ideal that. And obviously the first piece that you've put in stops the top piece from going down too far. Okay, so we've got that in like that, just make sure it's in reasonably equal all the way around. That's just about perfect there. Okay, take your super glue again, put another couple of drops on. There's about 4 drops there, and we'll just let that soak in. Just give it a few seconds to soak through. Quickly goes through with it being thin. I've tried the thick stuff before and had to wait absolutely ages for it to go through the kitchen roll. So if you use the thin stuff, it'll be far better. And you can see that's just about soaked through there now. So what we'll do again is a little bit of activator, just to turn any remaining super glue off a little bit quicker, which that should be done there about now. So that's it done. I mean, you can always test it. Just if you push it with your finger, you'll find that it's very, very hard. It's very hard there now. So that's what we need. Right, now normally to attach the skid cap to the tube, I would mix up some epoxy glue. And the reason why I would use epoxy is obviously because when you put the cap on, you need to get it central on the tube. You know, you don't want it slightly over to one side or anything like that. You need it central, and by using epoxy glue, the epoxy gives you the chance to do that, obviously, because you can slide it around until you get it in the right position, and then you can just leave it for the epoxy to go off. Whereas if you use the super glue type adhesive, once you put that stuff on, a couple of seconds later and it's gone off and there's absolutely no moving the cap. The only way to get these caps off is to get a hold of it with pliers, and being epoxy, of course, as soon as you grip it with the pliers it just shatters, so you'd have to make some new ones. One thing I wanted to mention to you while I remember, is when you've used your mould for to make, when you use the Play-Doh mould for to make a cap, don't use the same hole for to make the second cap, or however many caps you want. Always roll the Play-Doh up and form a new hole for each one, for each cap each time, because I've made caps in the past using the same hole as I did for the first cap, and the second cap has come out a slightly different size. So always, you know, as I say, use another piece of, or another hole, make another hole and then pour your epoxy into the hole. Always do it separately. Right, as I say, I would normally use epoxy glue for to fix the cap to the skid, but just for quickness, just so you can see the cap on the skid, I'm just going to use a couple of drops of super glue. Okay, so once again we'll just put a few drops of super glue on, just a little bit on the edge like that. Take your cap and just place it on there. Get it as central as you can. You can just work your fingers around like that and you can feel there when it's on, and just give it a little press. That's all it takes. Now, as I said, the tube that I've used is a slightly bigger diameter, and as you can see there, there's a little bit of a lip. I mean, I don't know for sure whether the cap's on in the right place. It was hard to sort of get it lined up properly and keep it in view of the camera so you could see what I was doing. But there's a little bit of a lip all the way around there. Now, that's easily solved with filler. I had to do the same thing on my EC135, which I'll show you in a moment. And if you take your time and do it properly, you can get it really flush all the way around with a little bit of filler if you just take your time with it. But I'll go on and I'll show you that now. Right, now you can see the skid cap fitted to the skid tube. As I said, there's a tiny little bit of a lip all the way around, as it was because I used a slightly larger diameter tube rather. Right, on the cap itself, you'll find that when you prime it, there'll be a few little pinholes in it to fill in, which normally just fill in with a little bit of easy sand car body filler. Dead easy to do. Now, if you mix up a little bit extra, you can go right the way around this edge of the skid cap, and you can make the cap flush with the rest of the skid. And if you just rub it down very carefully with a little bit of fine wet and dry, you'll be able to get it more or less like this on mine. Now, there was a little bit of a lip on mine, and it's virtually impossible to tell that there was a lip there. I'm very pleased with the way mine turned out. As I said, it was just a case of take your time with the filler and just rub it down nice and gently to get it flush with the rest of the skid tube. And there's no reason why you can't get a good finish on it. I mean, you can't feel anything there at all with my finger. There's nothing there to feel. There's no lip or nothing. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that the reason, as I said, if you make your own skids and you end up having to use a bigger aluminium tube like what I had to do for the EC135, chances are you'll have to make your own end caps. And I think that's a really this is a handy little way for making them. When you can't buy them anywhere. And as you've seen, it's not too difficult to do, and you've probably got the materials in your workshop anyway to be able to do it. So anyway, I hope that's been of some help to you. So I hope to speak to you soon. Cheers, bye.